part of my job is making sure that people have had that conversation. Because what I've happened all the time is people call me and say, oh, we're going to work on this deal. They're going to give me 20% and I'm going to give them some cultivars and we're going to run it. And I'm like, okay, well, how are you going to get it to them? Like, they're comfortable with accepting it, maybe outside of the nursery system? 2, are they willing to say that those are yours? Are they allowed to make seeds? Are they, and you start breaking down that deal, and it's a lot more than maybe how it was back in the day, where it's like maybe people go halves on a building and you say, okay, we split everything halves, and it's kind of easy. Now it's a little more than that, because now there's IP ownership involved, there's cultivar ownership involved, and that kind of diversity can really change a whole company. And so it's kind of my job to hear that deal and then say, well, what about this? Like, well, what happens if, what happens if they're not growing properly and not up to your standards, and you can't make any money and, you're an exclusive deal and giving them the licensing? Well, what happens then? Are you then allowed to go elsewhere? So it's having those difficult conversations. And I think that part is obviously hard for a lot of people just to have difficult, because you only want to think about the positives, right? You only want to assume that this is going to crush it. We're all going to make $1 million. We're all going to be rich and it's all good. But the whole point is like, well, what if, right? And you get that, you have those conversations, you put it out on paper, and hopefully it never happens. But 9 times out of 10, something does happen. I mean, I get people all the time, oh, this is my brother. Like, I don't need something. I'm like, I could tell you multiple stories about brothers like feuding and kicking each other out of the property, right?
Apparently having sex with each other's wives.
Yeah, it happens.
How about how to run cultivators out, right? Cultivars out. So you bring in a bunch of genetics, and legally you can't just take those out now.
No.
So how do you, if we end the licensing deal, now what? You have all my strains and you have all my branding. You have the packaging,
new ones too, right?
Yeah,
You created new ones because you did season.
So what do we do then? What happens? And it's like, that's when someone like you comes in and we put a proper contract together that says, well, you have 6 to 8 months to run out these cultivars. And in that process, we run through the X amount of packaging and we get that we basically run out this system and we restart. And those tough conversations is what most shady businessmen want to avoid. And I found that is a huge topic. Most guys that have ulterior motives, when you start to ask these questions, you get all the acting funny coming out.
Yeah.
You get all kinds of, this whole show starts to happen in front of you that you're like, oh, wow, this is okay. I had a hint that this is, I've seen that in person with you. We've seen that multiple times, just to be dead honest. And, having a proper contract has saved brands. I mean,
my mom always says you got to trust your gut, and I think you can know fairly quickly sometimes if a person is going to do right by you or just fuck around and like steal money. Like, you can kind of get vibes on people like that. And like that, when you start having those questions and, and they're like getting a little weird about it, take that as a red flag and find someone else, because a partnership, I mean, it's a marriage, right? A marriage is a contract. It's a document you sign and you register with the government, right? A business, a joint venture, that's a marriage. You're marrying these partners. And if you don't know, if they get their 30% and you didn't write and explain how they have to earn that or the work that they have to do, they can say, fuck off. I'm going to go do something else. And now they got 30%. And if you don't have some way to unravel that or, pull back some percentages, I mean, you could just be giving away, the farm. So, you definitely got to do the due diligence. You got to have those difficult conversations, and you got to date these people, which is tough to do, right? Because like you want to move things fast, and that's what's good about an LOI is like you can do like test runs, right? You could say, hey, we'll do one run. We'll make a deal for one run. We'll let you run one thing. Let's see how this goes. Plays it out, because this, as fast as everything moves, it's a long game. We're playing a very long game right now. Right now, there's no really timeline for it to be federally legalized. So it's like you got to make the right moves and the right decisions for your business, because you get in something too quick and you give up your business. Well, now you're out the game, or you got to start a new game. You get with bad partners and they destroy your name in the industry. It's going to be a lot harder to climb out of that. So everything matters, and just know that life is long and like you don't need to move at warp speed. Like do your due diligence, make sure things are going to work out for you, because if not, it's going to cost you way more money to try and get out of it than just spending the money early on and setting something up that's right for you.
Hey, if you like that video and you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel. First smoke of the day clip.